Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Grover Beach City Council meeting, May 12th, 2025. This meeting may also be viewed on cable channel 20 in Grover Beach and is available on live streaming on www.slow-span.org. Members of the public may provide public comment during the meeting by attending the meeting or calling 805-321-6639, and the phone line is now open. So we will start with our flag salute, and tonight our flag salute is being presented by a very special guest. We have Piper Enns, who actually was a student mayor here when she was here with her class. So I'll have you come stand up here, and I'll talk a little bit about you. Student Mayor Piper is 9 years old and in the 3rd grade at Grover Heights Elementary School. Piper likes that she gets to see her friends at school, and in the classroom, she enjoys math, especially fractions, multiplication, and regrouping. I don't know 2 of those things, so. It's a new math. She enjoys living on the Central Coast because she is so close to the beach, and when it's nice out, she gets to go down there. She also likes the mild weather. Student Mayor Piper would like to attend college and become an artist. Outside of her school, her hobbies include playing basketball, playing with her dogs, and art and drawing. Piper is accompanied by her mom, Katie, and her sister, former mayor, Hazel. It's a legacy. They were all mayors when they were here with their school. So now we will stand and we'll let Piper take it away.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go on, Piper.
Our shirts are practically matching. All right, now I will call on City Clerk Sims for the roll call, please.
Councilmember McCory Driscoll.
Here.
Councilmember Tuggle.
Here.
Councilmember Wyrick.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Robert.
Here.
Mayor D.
Here. All right, thank you. Now on to closed session announcements from City Attorney Lamelli.
Thank you, Mayor Council. There is no closed session.
Wonderful. All right, on to agenda review. Council members, do any of you have any questions or changes you want to make on the agenda?
Nope.
If there are no changes, can I have somebody make a motion?
I move to accept the agenda.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, we have a consensus. On to our ceremonial calendar. Our first item is the proclamation for National Police Week, accepted by the Police Chief Jim Monroe, and I ask Councilmember Wyrick to read this one for me, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my privilege to read the proclamation of the Grover Beach City Council declaring the week of May 11th through 17th, 2025 as National Police Week. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And whereas from the beginning of this nation, law enforcement officers have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms which are guaranteed by the Constitution and in protecting the lives and property of our citizens. And whereas since the first recorded law enforcement officer death in 1786, there have been 24,067 law enforcement officers that have died in the line of duty in the United States. And whereas 345 new names of fallen law enforcement heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 148 officers killed in 2024 and 197 officers killed in the previous years. And whereas in 2024, 3 law enforcement officers died in the line of duty in the state of California. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting the people against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the vulnerable against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Grover Beach Police Department has grown to be a modern and technologically advanced law enforcement agency, where its members play an essential role in the safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the city of Grover Beach. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Grover Beach does hereby officially proclaim the week of May 11th through 17th, 2025, as National Police Week in honor of the men and women who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or become disabled in the line of duty, and hereby orders the U.S. flag to be flown at half-mast on May 15, 2025.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Council, thank you very much for taking a moment to honor National Police Week. This is an annual event, unfortunately, but it is a time that we reflect on those that we lost, including the 148 that we lost just this year. Not only do we reflect on those that we lost, but we also think about their families that have lost their loved ones and are grieving as well. So this week is a busy week for us here at the Grover Beach Police Department. I will say I'm also joined by members of our patrol staff that are currently on duty, along with Commander Millard in the back there. We are going to be traveling to the city of Morro Bay on Thursday to attend the San Luis Obispo County Peace Officers Memorial Ceremony. Morro Bay Police Department is hosting that this year, and I have made a formal request for the Grover Beach Police Department to host in 2027, hopefully at a newly remodeled Ramona Garden Park. So we'll see how that goes. But once again, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. We always appreciate your support as well, along with the communities. We couldn't do what we do without it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want to take a photo with us?
We would love to take
Okay,
a photo.
cool.
Yes.
Okay, next we have the proclamation for Public Works Week accepted by Public Works Director, City Engineer Greg Ray. And I asked Mayor Pro Tem Robert to read this one for me.
Thank you. The proclamation of Grover Beach City Council declaring the week of May 18th to the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life and well-being of the people of Grover Beach. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our national transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civil leaders, and children in the city of Grover Beach to gain knowledge of and to maintain ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works, first responders, and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year of 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Grover Beach, Council of Grover Beach, does hereby proclaim the week of May 18th to 24th of 2025 as National Public Works Week in the city of Grover Beach and urges all citizens to join in the activities, events, and ceremonies dedicated to pay tribute to the sustainable contributions of our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees who work tirelessly to provide, maintain, and improve the infrastructures and to serve and protect our national health, safety, and quality of life. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Robert and Honorable Mayor Dee and Council. Just like the Police Department, I thank you also for taking a moment to honor your Public Works Department and to pay some tribute to our quiet, unsung heroes who work behind the scenes to make sure that your streets, sewer, and water systems and your facilities are kept in an operable condition and safe and healthy for our residents of the lovely city of Grover Beach. I'm joined by Billy Haas, our Public Works Superintendent this evening, and several members of our staff on the back row back there. And if you guys would like to stand up. So thank you very much for this honor. Appreciate it.
Can we take a picture?
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Okay, good.
Would you guys like to come up?
Make them come up.
I will make them.
You better be up there.
Thank you. Well done.
And I realize I forgot to open up for council comments to our police department or to the public works department. Did anybody want to make any comments?
Just huge thanks to them both for all they do for Grover Beach.
Go ahead.
Likewise, and I know the chief mentioned that the memorial and stuff is going to be in Morro Bay and stuff on Thursday, and it's at 10 o'clock. Is that correct? At Highlands Park. So obviously, and stuff. Yeah, it'd be great if others are able to attend too.
Perfect.
In regards to Public Works, thank you. You don't always end up in the spotlight, but I know you're an integral part in not only day-to-day operations, but also our emergency response when needed. And then for the police, anybody who runs towards danger while I run away, thanks.
Thank you all for all you do. Very muchly appreciated. Thank you.
Ditto to all of that. Okay, so for our last item for the ceremonial calendar, we have the 2025 Beautification Awards presented by Community Services Supervisor Larry Kim.
All right,
And Anita Shower, Chair Anita Shower, excuse me, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Dee and all members of council. Every year in April, the Parks Recreation and Beautification Committee selects awards from nominations throughout the entire Grover Beach City area for residential and commercial properties. And our commissioners did a great job of selecting a lot of nominations to go through over that last meeting in April, and two of them are here today to accept their awards in person, and we would love to have Chair Shower here present the awards to them. So without further ado, Ms. Shower.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Anita Shower, Chair of the Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Commission. I would like all of you to know that where are you? Stand up. Shauna, stand up. We have one member of the commission here also, LaShonda. And we asked if, and first of all, we had more than 30 people apply for this award, and it was under residential as well as business. And unfortunately, Duke Sterling is off in another universe and will not be here tonight to accept the Beautification Award for the Cat the Cat Cafe on Grand Avenue, which is absolutely lovely and certainly an improvement over what was there before, which was many things. And then, of course, we have, where are they? The Red Chair Barber Shop on North 6th Street at Grand Avenue, who is also a winner in the beautification category for businesses. And I met with them today to make sure they were going to be here tonight. Am I going to be disappointed?
Over here.
Get over here.
Here, why don't we come up for a photo? Yeah, come on, just come on up for a photo.
Well, you want to say a word or two? It's like, thank you.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you for everyone who supports our business. It's been a journey, but we're very happy to be here, happy to grow with you guys. We have a lot of goals and a lot of things in the works, and yeah, we're just very excited to be here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Did you like your sign out front?
I did. I love the sign. Yeah, I love it. Awesome.
There's no order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for all those presentations. I'm going to, or for the ceremonial calendar, those presentations. So now we will move on to presentations, and we do have one. It's an update on the Lopez Lake water system, and we will turn it over to Public Works Director, City Engineer Greg Ray.
Let's try that again. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I'm here tonight to provide a brief update on the recent incident, the boil water notice that went out to all of our residents in the city. That's there behind me. We'll see how this works. This is just a really quick update. Maybe? There it is. Okay, so first of all, what happened? So the City of Grover Beach provides water to its residents from two sources. We have the groundwater from local wells here, and we have water from the Lopez Lake Reservoir, which is operated by the County of San Luis Obispo. On April 29th, the county received results from routine water sampling that indicated there was bacteria present in the Lopez pipeline. That's the pipeline that connects us to the reservoir and where our water comes from. In accordance with state-mandated testing requirements, the county retested the water on the 29th and received those results on the 30th. It takes a day to turn around the testing. The results indicated that bacteria was still present at 2 locations in the pipeline. On April 30th, the state, the Division of Drinking Water of the state, directed the county and any agencies that were connected to the Lopez pipeline to issue what's called a boil water notice. So what is a boil water notice and why is it required? Well, state law requires that if a water system has two routine samples for bacteria that test positive, and any of those samples indicate the presence of the E. coli bacteria, the water system must issue a boil water notice. The notice is required to protect against the possibility that the bacteria is widespread in the water system, so it's very proactive. Even the slightest indication of bacteria, especially E. coli, the entire water system has to receive a notice. One of 13 routine samples taken by the county on the Lopez pipeline on the 28th indicated the presence of E. coli, just one. Follow-up samples taken on the 29th and the 30th still indicated the presence of bacteria, but no further indication of the E. coli bacteria. Water samples taken by the city during the same period of time, the 28th, 29th, and 30th, indicated that there was no bacteria present in the city's water system. Upon receiving the notification from the county on the 30th of their testing results, our water system immediately disconnected from the Lopez pipeline. And even though the city was disconnected from the pipeline and had 0 positive bacteria samples, the city was still required to issue the boil water notice in accordance with state law. Following the disconnection from the pipeline and 2 additional tests taken on the city's water system on the following days, both which again came up 0 for any bacteria in the samples, the state did allow the city to rescind the boil water notice. And I'll mention that any of those agencies that could not disconnect from the Lopez pipeline did not have that option until the county was able to issue or release their boil water notice. And so what was the cause of the bacteria? Well, we don't know. The county and the state are working together to investigate the cause, and at this time it is still unknown. The county's continuing with rigorous testing of the pipelines. They've audited their entire system, including the treatment system up above Lopez, or I should say just below Lopez, and they have inspected all portions of the Lopez water system. The county is and has now switched to a stronger disinfectant. That'll be between the 7th and the 28th, and that is to provide a higher level of protection while the cause of the incident is still being investigated. The city has since reconnected to the Lopez pipeline, but we are continuing with rigorous testing to assure that our water system remains free of contaminants. So kind of a recap on the actions that the city took during this period of time. Once we were notified by the county of the positive test results, we immediately disconnected from the Lopez pipeline. We increased the frequency of our routine sampling. So we normally do that quarterly, or I should say monthly rather. We have monthly sampling in our system. We went to daily sampling. We coordinated with the county's Office of Emergency Services to alert affected people in our system, our water customers in particular, by phone using multiple emergency alert systems. We used the city's billing system to get out an alert to all of our customers via the information they provided to us when they signed up for their water accounts. We posted information on the city's website and social media with links to the county website regarding safety measures while the boil water notice was in place. And finally, the mayor herself posted multiple public service announcement videos to convey information to our residents. So that pretty much concludes the action in its entirety and the various steps that were taken. But I think the most important thing to land on is what can you do as a resident or business owner within the city. It's important to sign up for the reverse 911 system and alert SLO to receive future messages about public health concerns or perhaps emergency responses. There's a website you can go to, that's www.prepareslo.org/en/public alerting, and that will provide more information on how to sign up and how the alert system works. And then, of course, make sure that your water billing contact information with the city is up to date. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions.
Perfect. I will open it up for questions from our council. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for that report. I know that reverse osmosis systems, filtering systems, are highly effective at removing the E. coli bacteria. But are there other bacteria that we should be concerned about that RO systems wouldn't take care of? They're pretty effective moving most bacteria, but
no. And you might have noted that during the boil water notice, the county's website indicated that even if you had RO systems, either commercial RO systems or systems in your home, that they were still indicating you should boil water. And the reason for that is that the city is unaware of the condition of your RO system.
Wow, okay.
Your filter could be
Yeah, 5 years old,
and
yeah.
not
Good
taken
point.
care of or not disinfected in the manner indicated by that particular system. So, yes, in general, they're very effective, and in general, there are no bacteria that should be able to pass an RO system, but you never know the condition of your system.
Yeah, less than just boil the water, even with an RO. Okay,
Better
thank you.
safe than sorry.
That's right, thank you.
Questions and comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for doing such a good job. It's really hard when you're in a federalist system and some things aren't actually your jurisdiction, but at some level still your responsibility. And I just think that the city operated within its purview to really get the word out. And I know Supervisor Paulding has shared that there's some things that the county's learning about how they communicated, but I really feel like we did a really good job with how we're positioned in something that we don't even have complete direct control over, and that is the county water supply. So, thank you.
To my left?
I also want to say thank you, and also share that I'm thankful that we have 2 water supplies. Again, just thankful. I don't even want to think about what might happen if we did have something serious or long-lasting happen. So the city was on it. Everybody did a great job. I really appreciate that. I did have several people come up to me and ask about getting on the reverse 911 call system, that they weren't on it, and all of them were new residents, relatively new residents. So thinking just personally about how we might get that information out to new residents to get them to sign up more quickly. But all in all, I think everyone did a tremendous job getting the message out and getting the water turned off from the lake and making sure we're all safe and healthy today. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to thank the city on staff for their response on disconnecting right away too, because if something else had gone on too, then obviously we want to put all of our residents and water customers under that boil water order longer than needed. And I mean, and just for some context too, I mean, do you have a sense of like how long, if we had to stay disconnected longer too, because luckily this time, the testing, came out negative pretty quickly, but is there a certain kind of threshold too where it suddenly becomes worrisome within our system too, or staying disconnected from Lopez, we could stay on our groundwater for a more substantial time than what we did already?
If I understand your question, sort of relating to would our groundwater supply be able to keep up with the additional demand?
Yeah, for if we had to go on a longer period of time too, because this was a unique situation. Hopefully it stays unique, but luckily we were able to be on it for a short period of time.
I think under current conditions, I believe we could have stayed on for quite a period of time.
Okay, well that's very good to know that. And I saw quite a the reaction stuff within the community when the order went out too. Is there, since obviously the cause is still being investigated by the state and county agencies, but as far as kind of broader conversations amongst all the affected communities, is there kind of conversations even behind the scenes on how to have our communities be more, for lack of a term, better resilient in these situations too? Because it was really strange to see that, Vaughn's, all the bottled water just got decimated too. And regionally, there was different places too. And that's obviously not the real, long-term solution we're looking for too. But I'm not sure if kind of the broader planning beyond just the incident we're all looking towards.
Definitely, at multiple levels, both at the county, within the county of San Luis Obispo itself, the public agency, and as well as the County Operations Office of Emergency Services, and then between Public Works directors and city managers at the city level, there have been multiple discussions and will continue to be ongoing discussions about what we could do better, what kind of other things should be in place during these kinds of issues and concerns, and how we can better serve and protect the public.
Thank you, and I do want to say it was really strange the weekend right before it tested too. I was talking to a couple of different people. Actually, one of them was in the audience, and how it's like, as far as water issues we have too, it's like it's great we haven't had to deal with contamination once too, because I've seen how that's really bad in other communities and how it just sends the shockwave through too, and as unfortunate as this happened too, I think it's good for us to actually understand how we would respond to these kind of situations, especially if it was a more severe situation. So hopefully it's a one and in the lifetime and done, but thank you all for your parts in making sure that all of our residents and water customers came out as safe as possible, and hopefully no one's experienced any health issues as a result of it.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I know that there's a lot there are some questions that haven't been answered yet, but that's in the county's hands right now with this investigation. And so I think you and the rest of our staff, I know that I even got an email from one of our just ongoing staff here that made a comment about somebody had called in and had a question. So I know everybody was all hands on deck. So thank you so much to every single level that we have here at the city for making sure you were answering questions, back-to-back meetings. I know that I said this in one of my videos, and again, getting information to me so that I can do these videos for the community. So thank you again so much for all that. And if there's any other questions, again, where's the website they should go to, or who should they email if anybody in the community has any more questions regarding this?
For now, most of the information and updates are being put out by the county at the website. I believe you can see behind me. It's www.prepareslow.org/en/public-alerting.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Good. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to our public communications. Our meetings are designed to proceed in an organized and efficient manner to effectively conduct city business. The council welcomes and values public comments, which can be shared at the designated time from the podium using the microphone. The council requests that all comments be addressed to the council as a whole and that speakers refrain from directing individual comments at staff members. To maintain an orderly process, we kindly ask all attendees to refrain from creating disruptions during the meeting, interrupting speakers who are addressing the council, or impeding the council's ability to conduct business. Should disruptions occur, the council will need to take certain measures, such as calling a recess, clearing the chambers, or in rare circumstances, canceling the meeting. We greatly appreciate your understanding and cooperation in maintaining a productive environment that serves our entire community effectively. During this time, the council will allow public communication. Any member of the public may address the council for a period not to exceed 3 minutes total on any item of interest within the jurisdiction of this council. The council will listen to all communications. However, in compliance with the Brown Act, the council cannot act on or discuss items not on the agenda. So I will now open public comment, and I do have some speaker slips here. I will start with David Swift, followed by Jeff Lee.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. David Swift, North Grover. I'm not going to talk about strawberries. That's the next guy. At the end of this, I'm going to ask you to consider 2 future items to agendize. And what I'd like you to do is at least consider it. But in 2022, the city made a major revision to the development code. And a lot of the work was done under the cover of, I would say, darkness during COVID. And so there wasn't a lot of public participation. I did participate in those. There was actually a lot of really good conversations. And what came out of that was a code that addressed a lot of known problems and was also focused on meeting economic development, housing goals, modernization of Grover Beach. We've been running under that code now for 3 years. And what is normal, I would say, in the industry I came from is when you rolled out big changes to systems or big policy changes, you would do a deep dive later on, follow up and see, are you accomplishing the goals that you set out to accomplish? If you're not, what tweaks do you make? And are there unintended consequences that have cropped up that you didn't foresee at the time when you made those revisions? I know you're going to talk a little bit about your goals, your future goals tonight. And I would ask you guys all, as you think about those, to think about agendizing a deep dive on the development code to see if it really is meeting the goals of the council and the city and the residents. And not just economic development and housing stock, but are there unintended consequences that are, I would say, negatively impacting quality of life for the residents in the development that's occurring because of it? I think that was one of them. And, I remember the other one was basically a follow-on to that, is that while we have a goal from state to meet certain housing numbers, the question is on the track that we're on right now, can we realistically meet those numbers across all classes, low income, moderate income, high income? given the response of the development community to the development code, right? We're seeing some building. And so the two action items I would like to see you consider in future meetings is, one, a deep dive into the response to the development code, the community, the development. Is it meeting your goals? And are there negative effects that the community is seeing that were really unintended consequences? And then the other one is, given the response of the builders and the community to the updates in the code and getting housing stock, what is the high and low estimate for city build-out given available housing, response to the code, and the housing that we have to build? Can we realistically get there with the code? Is it overkill, or do we need to do something else?
Wow, that was pretty impressive. Thank you. We have Jeff Lee, followed by Robert Newton.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. So on your dais, you have some Akui strawberries. So we love Driscoll strawberries as well. So we are equal opportunity strawberries. But we are having this Saturday, May 17th at 16th Street Park, the Strawberries Through Grover Beach, sponsored by the Grover Beach Community Foundation. We're going to have beer. We're going to have vendors. Man Rock is going to be brewing a strawberry blonde ale, and there will be strawberries. So we hope that everyone comes out, joins us as well. Before the event, which runs from 11 till 6:30, the city is having a Tour de Grover event, which is going to gather at City Hall between 10 and 10:15, leave City Hall about 10:30, and arrive over at 16th Street Park at sometime around 11-ish. And then there'll be some vendors set up for there as well. And then also a kickoff party, because strawberries should not be limited to just one day of the year. At Grover Station Grill on Friday night, 2 bands will be playing as well. That is a free event. So we look and invite all the members of the community, both this community and others, to join us next Saturday, May 17th, 16th Street Park, at from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., where we'll have bands, we'll have vendors, we'll have food, we'll have you, and of course, we will have strawberries. Thank you very much, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you for your comments. All right, we have Robert Newton, followed by Randall Myrick.
Thank you for letting me address the council and the staff. What I'm going to be talking about is building before you have the sewer system and the water capacity for all these big buildings that are being made. And by the way, looking for sources of income, what about the marijuana taxes that as of the last time I heard they had not been collected, and why? Which could be done through attachment or other things like that. There was also, it looks like, $500,000 that was taken from the sewage fund and used to put in the pipe for the fiber optic cable. This seems to me to be a lack of prioritizing a bigger need that needs to be made, especially since the fiber optic is not functional right now. To the best of my knowledge, it's only conduit. I also find it offensive that it's been put out, or offensive and incorrect that it's been put out in information from the city that the sewage system those pipes will explode. Those clay pipes will explode if they're not changed. They may leak, but they're not going to explode. And I can see many people having visions in their head. Ooh, I don't want to smell that. Well, you probably wouldn't even smell it because it's quite a bit underground. So if you're going to make arguments, and also as far as Grover being the lowest price in sewer and in water, actually in per capita, we're in the middle. So that's also disingenuous. That's also not factual. And you're using that to tell people that they're not paying that much when in reality they are. This is in comparison to the other cities of size and in relation to population as well. So I ask that you and the, 33 seconds. You and the Planning Commission stop any more approval of any buildings until, because you've got your horse, you've got your wagon way in front of your horse. You've got about 3 wagons in front of your horses. It's not a good situation. If you do math and calculus like I do it in my head. Back when people actually could do math without a calculator. You realize that there's going to be many problems.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Randall Myrick, followed by Catherine Sells. Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm Randall Myrick. That guy just talking, he made sense, what he was saying. I mean, the pipe is getting enlarged because it's needed to be enlarged with all doubling the population. They're making it sound like it's going to explode, but the fact is they're making it bigger instead of just telling the truth. They have to make up these stories, and you're going off making decisions on lies. And on that water poisoning, it was below the lake, right? I mean, it was in the pipe that comes out of the, it was below. It was obviously man-made or some kind of warm-blooded animal, and they need to find out the host or whatever and get the thing resolved. I didn't know it was E. coli. I thought it was something else. But if it's below the lake, it's not in the lake, it's below it, right? Through the pipe? Is that what Greg Ray said? I think. But anyways, that thing's that's dangerous. That's bad. You have to use a microscope to even try to even look at the disease. So it doesn't take much to infect everything. Another thing, I gave you guys pictures about over a month ago. Have you looked at them?
Yes, we have.
Because in September, I had somebody threaten me on a voicemail, and then February. Now, did you see the picture of the guy I took? Okay, well, that's one of them. He's been following me, and he has different cars he uses. I'm not that concerned about that guy, but I'm kind of wondering why he's still doing it. But, I mean, he's parked right looking at my office. And then I run out there, I was going to pull him out of the car, and then he splits. But so you saw the picture. Is there any question? Did you see the lake? Well, we're fishing at it on my street. I mean, it's up to your knees. And you know what West Nile's disease is? That's what mosquitoes breed in. I mean, I'm paying $10 a month for a storm drain. I think my street's the storm drain. I mean, it just sits there. And we didn't have that much rain that last time. And you saw the puddles and everything. It takes 2 weeks to evaporate, 3 weeks. And that needs to be fixed. Correct? Correct, guys over there? Tell the attorney to say correct. But anyways,
thank you.
When builders go, in the past, they put in parks, they help with financing on streets and everything. What are these guys doing building these skyscrapers? Are they helping with the finance at all with our city, or why is it costing us more money to have them there? And the streets, when I walk my girlfriend to work every day, it's a mile there and a mile back, and I see kids walking out in the street because there's no sidewalks. And I've been complaining about this before. Sidewalks, the city owns that property, not the property owners. I called every other city. They're making property owners put in the curb and gutter and sidewalks, and that's crazy. It's the common area. You guys own it. They don't own it.
Thank you for your comments,
All right.
Mr. Myrick. Thank you. All right, we have Catherine Sells.
Good evening. I just have a quick comment on what Director Ray had to say. I really appreciate that they went to all that trouble to get the notice out to everyone and all the different ways, but even with all that, I didn't know anything about it until it was over. And I was like, whoa, maybe door hangers? Because that's pretty horrible thing to find out about after the fact. Anyway.
Thank you so much.
Suggestion.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I do not have any other speaker slips. Does anybody wish to come up and speak under general public comment?
Good evening, Mayor. It's Lauren Westphal from Newport. First off, I do want to thank you for sending out those notices. However, I think we should also let the county know to put it in bold that filtration, ROs, Bretta's, do not kill E. coli. I have several fish tanks, and when my fish get bacteria, I literally have to remove the one fish and put a bunch of bacteria into the tank so the other fish don't get affected. And I have to pull the filters out while I'm putting this bacteria in. Another thing I would like to address is the development. When the City Council made the economic development codes, they were in hopes of the revenue from taxes and help with the infrastructure. However, the city is deferring the impact fees or giving less cost on the developers. The justification of this was basically brought to the attention of the councilors that other cities do it, that other cities give these impact fee deferrals and help the cost of the development and the infrastructure. Other cities are larger than us, other cities have more money than us, and other cities have better infrastructure than us. And I would appreciate you guys to consider, start collecting some of the impact fees now and not put the cost onto us. I have researched all this. I have went through the past reports. I do not expect any answers to any of my questions tonight, but I do think you guys need to bring it back to council, reconsider the impact fees, reconsider the planning, and reconsider what you consider important. Your community's view of the ocean that's going to be blocked with all these 5-story buildings because it's not considered as public viewing unless you're in the middle of the street. These are things that you guys should consider. Past council did not consider it because we needed the money. Yes, we still need the money. We still need the infrastructure. However, your community is aging, and we are all on limited incomes, and it should be considered not to put the cost on all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westphal. I don't have any other speaker slips. Does anybody wish to come up and speak under general public comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, just something real quick. Maybe, Chief, you can help me. So, Mayor, Council, my name's Chad. It's good to be here. Just a quick footnote.
And can you speak into the mic? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Just a quick footnote to follow Jeff, because I know you mentioned the Strawberry Festival coming up, but there's also a fun event happening. I don't know if you mentioned there's going to be a community bike ride, I believe, that starts before that. I believe our police will be escorting us. Does that start here at City Council? Is that correct, Lord?
Here he comes.
I believe, yeah, come on. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it starts here at,
Yeah, we'll be staging here right in front of City Hall and the Police Department, starting at 10 a.m. on the 17th. So look forward to seeing everyone out here. The police will be escorting everyone safely through.
It's going to be a fun event, so I just wanted to make everybody.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line?
Yes, we have Mr. John Wysong.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Wysong.
Hello?
Okay.
Hi. I'm Johnny Wysong, and I'm at the East, and I used to go down there all the time, but I don't drive, and my health at 90, I can't get down there. So, tonight, there's two things on my mind. One, I live on East Brighton, and that is residential, but they have signs, no heavy equipment, trucks, but it must be illegals because they don't see it, or they don't know, or they don't know what the picture means, that so many tenants are allowed. Number two is water. I have been overseas in the Korean deal for 3 years. We used to drink ice bottled water when our canteens ran out. I've been in the cattle business with my family for 16 years. We've been out in the hills. We went out of water. We drank out of the creeks that was flowing. know what water is because I've been across the United States over 20 times. I've had 5 cars, 3 pickups going across. But one time a few years ago, I stopped at a restaurant at the Mississippi River, and I got to talking to these farmers, and they were talking about they had been to Washington, D.C., to the infrastructure. They got all kinds of water equipment, parts, everything. Because back there, they need water. And the government furnished them infrastructure. And they had these big water dams going across the fields for irrigation. That takes a lot of water. And, I can sit around like and tell you about this, but I'm not. So, if the taxpayers of this area would get along, get with the city manager and the mayor and the council and go to Washington, D.C. and get infrastructure to pay for the water, you don't have to pay $1 million as a damn first. Because I know that. For a fact, I've been across the country over 20 times. I've talked to those farmers. My grandson lives in Wichita,
Thank you,
Kansas.
Mr. Wysong. Thank you.
I've been there.
Thank you so much.
I want you to talk about that. Because it's nonsense.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. Is there anybody else on the line?
Bring it in. Yes, we have Brenda Auer.
Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. And Mr. Weissel, I completely agree with you. Let me interpret what you just said. We're all tired of being lied to. David, Robert, Randy, OMG, I agree with you. Moratorium. Take a look at things. I understand there's going to be a private audit in the works since the city won't agree to one. I also understand there's 5 issues that have been discovered. Because the city won't give the citizens information, they've had to dig. And digging, they've found other lies. I want to talk about the water. Catherine, I agree with you. 24 hours, 48 hours is too long. We knew right away. I actually saw brown water a couple days before the notice went out, coming down from Fairview Drive in Arroyo Grande down Grand Avenue. When I, as you call, flipped it and went back, it was gone. I didn't get a picture, but maybe our sewer system, maybe somebody broke into it, and that was the problem. There is no reason you cannot tell us why this unprecedented event happened. And, by the way, take note, good reason for us not to pump Pismo's poop water into our area. Now, I'm a little angry, aren't I? This is not a county problem. This is a Grover Beach problem. I call BS. And by the way, about the city's vision, our goals have been set aside. Most of you are new. And Cassie, you've admitted you're too young to know what the city's vision was. But let me tell you, it was about protecting the community. And after hearing that the people's views are worthless, it's about the public views, which you're also taking away. Drive down 8th Street. Go look. Drive up 8th Street. Look at the streets. Imagine what the 5-story buildings are going to do. Oh, I have so much to say. Yeah. By the way, I don't think you should listen to Matt anymore. I think you should use your own brains, investigate, and look at what's good for Grover Beach. And I'm starting to think like Randy. Maybe Matt should be fired, and all 5 of you have the opportunity to do that. Because when you hear what's coming up and all the mistakes that have been made, he could have stopped. Oh, my Lord. Okay, back to the audit. That's about all. And on the matter of strawberries in the park, I want to know how much money Jeff Lee and
Thank
his
you for your
community,
comments. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Sauer. Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else on the line?
No, there's no one else on the line.
All right, we will now close public comment, and we will move on to our consent agenda. The following routine items listed on the consent portion of the agenda are scheduled for consideration as a group. So this includes the minutes of the City Council meeting on Monday, April 28th, 2025, and the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to, this is for the social host fireworks ordinance. So I will now open public comment on the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to speak on the consent agenda? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? No? Then I will close public comment for the consent agenda. Council members, do we have any questions or comments or want to pull any items? All right, well then can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second it.
Consent
you.
agenda.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and can I have, is this do you want a roll call? Okay. Nope, all right. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, we have a consensus. So now we are moving on to our public hearing. And I will, let's see, public hearing, I will call on Assistant City Manager Erickson for the PowerPoint presentation on the city vacancies report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm here to present on our vacancies for 2024. This is being presented to your council as a result of the passage of AB 2561, which was enacted last year. It requires a public hearing on vacancies in the prior year ahead of any budget hearing for municipalities. We're meant to report on our vacancy rates, our recruitment and retention efforts, and any obstacles with recruitment. We also have to allow recognized bargaining groups to present, and this evening both our SEIU and POA bargaining groups have elected to present this evening. So a breakdown of our city vacancies as of the end of 2024. We have 21 total budgeted positions for SEIU. We had 4 vacancies at the end of 2024 for a 19% vacancy rate. I will note that we continue to recruit for those positions, and so at this time we only have 1 vacancy in SEIU. And in the POA, we have 23 and a half full-time budgeted positions. We have no vacancies at the end of the year. That remains true at this time with a 0% vacancy rate. For our unrepresented staff, we have 30.5 FTEs budgeted. We have 1 vacancy. We had 1 vacancy at the end of 2024, continue to have 1 vacancy at this time for a 3% vacancy rate there. So of our total 75 full-time staff budgeted, we at the end of 2024 had 5 vacancies for an overall 7% vacancy rate. So for recruitment, we regularly post our job vacancies on governmentjobs.com, on our website, and other industry job boards as appropriate. We also engage in personal outreach to known candidates in the area to gauge their interest. We also post all of our openings on social media, on all of our platforms, and through our Grover Gazette. And last year, we recruited 18 positions. On the retention side, we do look to maintain competitive compensation with our comparable cities. We also invest in staff training and development, which is known as one of the most deep concerns of especially younger generations in the workforce. We work on coaching and work to coach on promotional opportunities within the organization. We also have regular engagement and staff recognition to let our staff know that we do appreciate them. And we currently, or in 2024, we had a 93% retention rate of our staff. So now I will turn it over to Rob Perry with SEIU to give his presentation, and I believe he is on the line.
Hello there. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. So my name's Rob and I work with 620. I'm a labor representative. We're SEIU. We're a local in Santa Barbara County and SLO County. We have 31 different agencies that we represent 2,500 members, and we go all the way from San Miguel down to Carpinteria, and a wide range of cities and counties and schools and special districts and a cemetery. All right, so we're here today because the state had concerns at some agencies about the high vacancy rate. Well, the good news is Grover Beach is not one of those agencies that has concerns. So 620 local, we're very pleased with that good news. Naturally, last year we had some concerns, but we met quarterly with administration and HR, and they assured us that they were working hard to fill the vacancies. And sure enough, it happened, and so we're very thankful. Our membership is doing quite well, and we appreciate them. We're also pleased with our working relationship with admin as well as the council and with our membership. We meet quarterly with them and resolve issues before they become problems. So we wish to acknowledge our members today, your employees, for the hard work, because they're the cornerstone of the community, and they service your citizens every single day. So in closing, appreciation to the board, appreciation to HR and admin, and also appreciation to our hardworking members. Thank you.
And now I will present Josh Ruiz, who will be representing the POA.
Good evening, members of the City Council, Madam Mayor, City Manager Bronson, and your team, and the citizens of our wonderful community of Grover Beach. On behalf of the Grover Beach Police Officers Association, I would like just to simply come before you to thank you. Recently, the association, we were able to have our first in-person meeting since the COVID-19 pandemic. And I have to tell you, as being now one of the senior members, I don't even like using that word, as one of the senior members of the association, I mean, I'm the one who can still remember making our favorite playlist by hitting the record button on the tape recorder. I have to tell you, there were a lot of new faces around the table that were looking back at us. And as we were discussing our various topics, one of the topics highlighted what a tremendous blessing we have to serve in this community. Day in and day out, we are moved by the show of support that we have received from all of you. And in fact, it is such a powerful show of support that I have used that support as a recruitment tool when we were trying to fill our vacancies. And I even remember taking a photograph of a little felt heart that someone had cut out and then taped to the police officer parking spot, the law enforcement parking spot in front of Vaughn's, to show, so look, this is what our community thinks of us, that someone would actually risk a potential vandalism violation to say thank you. So I make jest about that, but the fact really, it remains that this department, we serve a tremendous community. And on behalf of the POA, I would like to tell you that it truly is an honor to serve you and to protect every single one of you. And in remarking on the new faces in our POA, I would like to present to you the current list of vacancies as that was presented. And through the coordinated efforts of Chief Monroe, City Manager Bronson, the work and sacrifices of our City Council and Madam Mayor, I'm happy to report to you that the GBPD is now fully staffed with our latest officer scheduled to graduate from the Police Academy at Allen Hancock College in June. Though I know and have experienced that this community support weighs heavy on the retention of officers, there are other needs to attract applicants to come here and to experience that support. And again, under the leadership and efforts of those previously mentioned, our City Council, Madam Mayor, the GBPD administration and staff, and City Manager Bronson and his team, a competitive recruitment package was created, which attracted officers not only from other agencies, but also from other counties to leave their homes to come here to serve. The benefits of a fully staffed police department cannot be stressed enough. Not only for the greater presence of police officers on the streets for traffic control, and especially for the morning drop-offs and pickups at schools, but also in affording the opportunity to send more officers to get qualified and specified training to increase our efficiency, proficiency, and professionalism on the job. And finally, to add to this, if I may, the woes of first responders' life have been well documented. Days become just days to us. Birthdays, anniversaries, important holidays become, we'll celebrate them when we can. Having a fully staffed department affords officers the opportunities to celebrate those precious, vital family events together. And they help to keep us grounded in the foundation of the why do we serve? And that fuels our passion to serve you. And now looking to the future, many obstacles remain for us as a community. And not least of those is addressing the need for a new public service facility. And the completion of said facility will be a tremendous contributor to improving the morale and well-being of our police force and the attraction and retention of increasing the officers that we need. Because I know that though now we are enjoying being fully staffed, that at some point in time we will be needing to find more officers. But we have every confidence in our Grover Beach team. I can attest to the effectiveness, the endurance, and the goodwill of this team, comprised of our City Council, Madam Mayor, City Manager Bronson and your staff, and the GBPD admin, and finally, to our community, the members and citizens of Grover Beach. Again, it is an honor to serve each and every one of you, and on behalf of the POA, I'd simply just like to say thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
And that concludes our presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. I will start with questions to my left. No questions to my right?
Just curious, what are our two current vacancies?
They're both in the Public Works Department, a senior engineer position and an associate or assistant engineer position.
Great, thank you.
Good. Any other questions? No? Okay, so I will now open the public hearing, and I'd like to invite SEIU or the POA to have any additional comments if you want. Okay, SEIU?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So now I will open it to the rest of the public for this public hearing. Does anybody wish to come up and speak? Seeing nobody come up, is there anybody on the line? No, then I will close the public hearing, and I will bring it back to the council for deliberation. It looks like we don't need a motion, but we can start with comments. To my right? No? Good. Good. Great report. Thank you. I'm hearing consensus of a great report. Thank you so much for everything that you do and for the, yes, exactly. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Okay. Perfect. I was just double checking to make sure that was all was needed. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we will move on to our regular business, which is the update on the fiscal year 2025 to 27 budget and draft work programs for council goals and priorities. And I will call on Administrative Services Director Zamet and Assistant City Manager Erickson.
Good evening, Mayor D and members of the council. I'm appreciative to be here and present here on the budget update. And I will turn it over to Assistant City Manager Erickson about midway through the presentation. So, do we have it up? Okay, we do. Just budget development. The city operates on a 2-year budget cycle. We were first introduced to the budget update process on February 10th, where we presented the 5-year financial forecast. As it's noted, we're planning for a balanced budget with revenue slightly over expenditures while maintaining reserves above the 25% requirement or the threshold that council has set. General fund revenues, sales tax is anticipated to be flat this year after bottoming out in prior year contractions. In FY 25-26, we anticipate local sales tax measures, F and X, to expand upwards of 3%, but the general sales tax to be essentially limited or contracting because of changes the way revenues are collected statewide for distribution centers. It's having an effect. So it will pretty much anticipate that to net even. Property tax, we anticipate increase of greater than 4%, which is what the assessor has continually stated it will be, but we anticipate a slight increase over the 4% given we have several developments that are opening, Palladium, Encore, etc. Cannabis tax revenues, essentially we're estimating no growth. We anticipate there to be flat and hopefully no contraction in our cannabis revenue. However, transit occupancy tax, we do anticipate to break 1 million this year and are planning for revenue expansion in the next fiscal year up to 1.3 million given the opening of the 950 El Camino Hotel project. We also anticipate slight increases in franchise fees related to the opening or completion of the transoceanic cables. Staff will be presenting a balanced budget, which includes council goals and priorities. Would also include 3% cost of living adjustments for all labor MOUs, SEIU, POA, and unrepresented. $100,000 for the CIP for ADA project costs, and $433,000 for equipment reserve fund to lease public works vehicles and police vehicles. We also have budgeted into those expenses a 3% increase for Five Cities Fire Authority, as well as increases for premiums on our insurance for general liability, as well as workers' comp. Included within the increases for next year will be a limited number of budget augmentations. For instance, cost allocation plan, which will help us define what our costs are to provide certain services and then what we should charge for those costs. Some items related to permitting and system data migration, et cetera. Large item will be in FY 26-27, which is the general plan housing element. Only two costs that we're scoping into the budget, or augmentations that we're scoping into the budget, have ongoing fees, and that's for the 45 Newport lease, as well as a taser replacement, which is going from a one-time purchase kind of model to an ongoing maintenance agreement model. Wastewater and water funds, we factor in the final, so we're factoring in 4% increases on water and 2% for wastewater. This is based on the 2021 rate structure. We have a limited number of capital improvements in FY 26 and in 25-26 in the water fund. $100,000 for electrical paneling work on well 4, which we've identified as critical, and an additional $300,000 reserved for a water resiliency study. However, if current wastewater rate structure is adopted, staff will amend the budget to include wastewater CIP projects. Lastly, just to briefly discuss with you, we included an interfund advance policy as part of this staff report. And basically this if approved, would allow or would set parameters around any interfund advances, formalizing what a short-term or a long-term advance would be between funds, necessitating what kind of interest needs to be charged, as well as including a recognized obligation and payment schedule, which would go with any interfund advance, so we'd know exactly when it would get paid back and the kind of interest that we'd be earning on that. I will turn it over to City Manager Erickson. Take over.
Ooh, I just got promoted.
Assistant City Manager.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. So turning now to your council's goals and looking ahead at staff's work programs to implement those goals in our next budget cycle. As you recall, on March 3rd, you all got together and held a public workshop where you set governing norms, and you also considered public input from a 2024 survey that we conducted, as well as a 2025 in-person forum. You also considered city staff input, our financial outlook, and our resource considerations. And in that workshop, you did develop council goals. You started with broad multi-year goals and then honed in on the council's priorities for fiscal year 2025-27. So those are the two goals there with the star biome, and you guys already did that part. And so then it came to staff to develop the city manager's operational plan, which was shared with your council previously. And then now we're going to be talking about our departmental work plans as we move to implementing your priorities. Ooh, that is hard to read. I'm sorry about that. But these are our broad multi-year goals, including public safety and community services, economic development and housing, community infrastructure, and financial and organization sustainability. So here is some of the work programs that we as staff have developed for these broad goals. Starting out with continuing to deliver a variety of community events. Most pressing will be our summer concert series, which will this year be held at 16th Street Parks, but we'll also be planning our holiday events and other community gatherings throughout the year. And that lead department for that would be the city manager's office. We also hope to achieve 100% compliance with our weed abatement and defensible space requirements with FCFA. FCFA will also be working to respond to all fire and emergency medical services calls within 6 minutes or less, 90% of their calls. The police department will continue to enhance their technology by employing e-citations, more community cameras, and updating their tasers and body cams. The police department will also be focusing on community traffic concerns and hope to deploy full-time motorcycle traffic officer. In economic development and housing, we will be preparing our 7th cycle housing element at the end of the upcoming fiscal year, following our updated RENA allocations, and that will be led by the Community Development Department. With the City Manager's Office, we'll also be promoting the reopening of West Grand Avenue, which I know we all agree we cannot wait for. And we'll also be helping to promote the West End businesses who have been patient with us through this monumental project. In addition, we'll be pursuing additional opportunities for affordable housing and building on the success of our partnership with on the Cleaver and Clark Commons project, as well as our Cabins for Change and Beleco on Barca projects. And also, we will continue to expand our tourism marketing and visitor opportunities in Grover Beach through our Visit Grover Beach marketing platform. For community infrastructure, our Public Works Department plans to update utility and streets master plans to identify infrastructure improvements and maintenance programs. They will also be working in conjunction with the Community Development Department to update the circulation element, which is already in process, and your council just heard an update on that at the last meeting. And then also, they will be working with the Police Department and the City Manager's Office on working to find potential locations and funding plans for new or renovated city facilities, including the Corporation Yard, a new police station, and City Hall. Under financial and organizational stability, the Administrative Services Department and Public Works Departments will be working to implement equipment replacement funds, which your council heard about last meeting as well, and also to implement our enterprise fleet management system that we just signed a contract with. Admin Services will also conduct a cost allocation study to better assess and allocate city cost shares for services across funds. And the City Manager's Office will be implementing a software to streamline and more efficiently manage our Public Records Act requests, which have become far more voluminous in recent years. Moving on to your specific priorities for the next 2 coming fiscal years, as you recall, they are water and sewer infrastructure and the needed resources, and rebuilding community trust, community engagement, and civility in public discourse. So for the water and sewer infrastructure, the Administrative Services Department is planning to implement a new sewer rate structure, assuming that your council does approve that new rate structure in June. The Administrative Services Department will also be developing and executing a capital bond financing upon approval of those rates for sewer upgrade projects that are needed. The Public Works Department will also be updating a sanitary sewer management plan. Additionally, the Public Works Department is planning to develop a water supply and demand study to assess our current needs for the water system, and to develop a water admin services, will develop a water rate study for an updated rate structure. And this is because our current rate structure is scheduled to expire. And so with standard practice, we update the rate structure upon expiration of the prior structure. Under Rebuilding Community Trust and Community Engagement, the City Manager's Office is going to continue to regularly engage in community engagement events, including coffee talk, city talk, and we will also be installing, and we have already begun to install, informational boards at our city parks. If you haven't been to a city park recently, look around for those boards. They have a lot of good information with QR codes so that people can get information about our events and also major initiatives happening in the city. And the Community Development Department will implement a program for distributing key development project mailers to nearby properties to keep residents informed of development happening near their homes. The Public Works Department also plans to implement a program for distributing city capital project mailers to nearby properties, again, just to keep residents informed about what's going on in their neighborhood. And the City Manager's Office, along with the Community Development Department, will be developing a Grover Beach 101 community outreach session with initial focus on planning and building to better inform our residents of those processes. And then the City Manager's Office also will be implementing our 2025 biennial community survey. This will be the broad survey that's conducted by a third party and will be statistically significant for gauging our residents. And with that, both Nick and I are available to answer any questions you have.
Beautiful. Okay, I will start to my right with questions. As Councilmember Tuggle is writing. Do you have any questions? Okay, so Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? To my left, questions? Any questions? Okay. Councilmember Wyrick?
Yeah, I have a few questions. One's a pretty straightforward one. If the council removed from the budget the $40,000 for the water rate study, would it correspond to the change of the draft work plan to remove that part as well?
So if it's not funded, yes, it would have to be removed as a work program.
Okay. And then the next one is, it's noted in the staff report that as far as the wastewater fund loans that we've previously noted, it's looking at a 6-year window for total repayment for all those. Is it possible, or maybe more realistically feasible, that it could get done within the 2-year budget cycle, or would it take longer than 2 years based off the numbers that you're all looking at?
I think it would have to take longer than 2 years unless your council were to not follow your recently adopted reserve level.
Okay.
Minimum reserve level.
Thank you. And for related to the water resiliency study, obviously we heard about Lopez earlier today. We've heard about Lopez on another dynamic that's unresolved. Could the water resilience study be contingent upon after those pieces have been cleared? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Again, this is a 2-year plan. Yes, we would want to know more about the position of Lopez and where that will fall before we would engage in the study.
Okay. And then for the interfund, it notes that, let's see, on the third paragraph in there, loans cannot be made to or from restricted or legally encumbered funds, e.g. bond proceeds, grant restricted accounts, without legal authority from the city attorney. It just notes the city attorney that part, but is there assumption that it would still require city council approval even with that piece, or would that have to be added to clarify?
We could add that language.
Okay. Those are my questions.
I just have one question, a couple of comments, but I'll hold those. When does the current water rate structure expire?
It expires the end of this next fiscal year.
Any other questions? Other questions? Alrighty, so I will now open for public comments on this item. Does anybody wish to come up and speak on this item? Debbie Peterson, sorry. Took a second for it to get to me.
And I wasn't quick enough to grab my notes.
I know, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll speak off the cuff. I've been 13 years at just about 3rd and Grand and seen it develop beautifully. I've been really patient. I love the West Grand plan. I'm just so frustrated. It's been a year now, and it's getting, even patient people are struggling. And I would like to suggest, we do know that there are, I think, over 400 new units in the planning works for the next 5 years or so, maybe sooner. So we know that Grand is going to be disrupted for the next 5 years. And knowing that, I'm hoping that you all can take advance action to help our small businesses, because when you help the businesses along Grand, you also help our sales tax. Because if they're making good money, we're making good money in the city. So I'm hoping that you'll plan ahead with some strategies to support the businesses on Grand for the next 5 years, and thereby supporting the city and its citizens. And then, because I'm not convinced that you're going to have good sales taxes unless you really take some firm action there. And then, trying to remember what the other thing. Oh, on the loan repayment. I think it's great that you've adopted a policy, and it's great that we have some really good reserves. I think it would be greater still if we actually repaid money that was due for repayment in 2021. Did the right thing there. Took some of those reserves and repaid the general fund's money from the sewer fund, or simply budgeted some from the general fund. But I think you should repay that in full before you ask your citizens, before you repay a 2% interest loan, and ask your citizens to fund a 5.5% interest loan for sewer repairs. I think that would have maximum integrity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Does anybody else wish to come up and speak on this item? Seeing nobody come up, is there anybody on the line?
Yes, we have Brenda Auer.
Okay.
Hello, council again. Here, Debbie, I agree. Pay back the loans that we just heard were rediscovered from 2018, 17? Pay those back. And I want to make a comment. This is not the public's goals. The public's goals were discussed, and none of the council was there. But this is what the city decided were their goals without listening to the public. I can show you the difference. Please let me know. And Nick, bless your heart. This is not the city's vision. Go back, look at the original city's vision. All of you on the board, Matt, do the same. Look at the city's vision. The city's vision was never the Grand Canyon of massive buildings or blocking the residents' views. People, I asked you, Cassie, today, I hope you did it. I hope you drove up 8th Street and looked at how many views are going to be blocked. Look at the line. No more whitewater views. You'll be able to see the horizon, but you won't see the whales spurting their spouts anymore, which is what all of my grandkids have been able to see from my... And you know what? When the neighbors find out, I'm sure they'll agree. I'm sure they'll agree that the city should have picked the sewer infrastructure instead of a new park. And again, just so everybody knows, 16th Park used to have huge parties till Ramona Gardens came in. Nothing wrong with Ramona Gardens. We should have picked the sewer to fix, and that's a big enough mistake for y'all to look at Matt and reconsider why he's there. 101, Water 101. Go back, take the polls, what's important. And the CIP, for Pete's sake, people. And by the way, most of the fire department calls, 90% are for emergency that you could send a paramedic to. So stop pounding on the fire department. I love you all. I pray you might make the right decisions for the town I love. Because we know in your meeting, none of you could decide what the Grover Beach norm was, correct? We know it's do unto others as you would have done to you. Thank you. I pray for the council.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Auer. Is there anybody else on the line? All right, I will close public comment for this item, and we will bring it back to the council. Okay, I will start. Who wants to start our discussion? I think this is just a receive, correct? No? Okay. Oh, yes, okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, I'll start to my left.
So, comments and suggestions on the interfund advance policy. I would love to see something in there that refers to in cases of extreme emergencies. A policy set up to protect ourselves, great, to come up with our loan, but we all know that this wasn't a normal situation when this loan happened, and I think the way it's worded is makes it too simple, maybe for future city council members to not know the history and say, oh, well, we have this policy that says we can do this, let's just do it, without understanding that it's not a norm. So something in there that would identify it as an abnormal, unusual, unprecedented policy would, I think, deserves consideration. And the other comment would be just in the budget as you work through that program to look and see if there isn't any amount in the reserve, keeping it above the 25% that we could add to repaying that loan a little bit more. But that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyrick?
Yeah, I mean, I understand if to maintain our reserve levels, that if the loans, all of them can't be repaid within the 2-year budget cycle, if it takes 3 years, it's up to, I would rather have that happen than the 6 years. 6 years, is long enough for new things to come up. I mean, I assume that's what's happened basically towards these loans from past city councils. I mean, one of the loans was from 2008. I mean, how many city council members and mayors did that literally go through?
Mm-hmm.
So I think 6 years is too long. To shorten it to 2 or 3, I'd rather see us have staff look into doing that option too. So it's at least we know it's kind of done, for lack of a term, like within our lifetime. So that's one piece. And then on the interfund part, as far as the part where I mentioned the city attorney's office, if we could have that extra language that clarifies with the city council approval, I think that's pretty consistent with how things are normally done anyway. And on the water resilience study, if we could kind of asterisk that part too on when, for direction on staff, that if a study is done to that, we know that, like I said, the contamination issue is one thing being done to. We know that there's other things with Lopez that are out of our control there. We're waiting to see the results of. So let's wait for that study, to occur potentially after all those happen too. And then for the $40,000 for the water rate study, I don't see an urgency for this. I mean, I understand it might be best practices to look at, things happening every now and then too. But to remove it right now too, I think is just the easiest way to do it. Let's keep ourselves focused. And then obviously that removed from the draft work plan too. So I could talk to you all more about that too, but I think that's just the simplest part. It's only $40,000 as well. So those are my recommendations.
Okay. Thank you. To my right, Mayor Pro Tem?
I would agree with that, and I'd like to see the loans getting paid sooner than later.
Okay.
To get those caught up. And, let's let all this pass by on the water stuff so we can get the more accurate water studies. I think that's a good idea. That's all.
Okay. Councilmember Tuggle?
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to thank staff because I do see the progress in the community outreach and community engagement, including the water resiliency study being a response to what we've heard constituents ask for. So thank you for that. And then in regards to Interfund, I'm hearing a collective sense that we would like to see a more rapid repayment. Would it be possible to have maybe different scenarios of what that would look like, a 2-year, a 3-year? I don't know what timelines sound good to people, but before we sign off on that, I want to see the actual financial impacts of that. So then we can have a more well-rounded conversation. Because yes, in theory, they should get paid off. I get that. I understand the argument, but we don't want to have unintended consequences as we move forward. So having maybe multiple scenarios to look at might be able to help us.
We could bring that back at the budget hearing with scenarios. I will note that we did reach out to our rate consultant, and he indicated that there would be no measurable difference in rates or what we would need to charge for rates if we were to accelerate loan payments, because it isn't seen as additional revenue, rather a liability being paid off. So just for your council's awareness.
Thank you for clarifying that, and that is part of the question. But I'm more concerned about if we take that money out of our general fund,
right?
What real impacts we're talking about. So
Yeah, we can bring that back at the hearing. As
One of the
part
things I think we always do is unintended consequences. So if we can flesh those out ahead of schedule, that would be great. And I think that's it for me.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let me just write that down. Okay. So what I'm hearing is for the interfund policy to add language that it goes to council as well in addition to the city attorney, and identify that it's usually an unprecedented topic. It's not quite normal for us to do the interfund policies. So that's what I'm hearing for that. And then for the loans, I agree. Of course, we want to pay back our loans as fast as we can. Same like credit cards. You just want to pay it off and be done with it. But I am concerned with our reserves, and I don't want to go under our reserve allotment that we just changed. So having the multiple scenarios would be helpful, just so it's not under another council's hat and so on and so forth. And, you know, God forbid there's another pandemic or knock on wood, everybody knock on wood right now, that there is something like that. We just don't want to be caught with our hands tied. So, okay. And then, yeah, for the water study, completely agree as well. There's a lot of factors that go into the water rates, and we need to wait to make sure everything is settled before we can get going on that. So I do agree with that.
So for the interfund advances, the second paragraph of the proposed policy states that all advances require city council approval by resolution, and they have to be accompanied by recognized obligation and repayment schedule. The third part that talks about the legally encumbered funds and the need for city attorney authority relates, it's a qualifier only for those legally encumbered funds. So it's essentially saying you will approve all of them. However, for those that are legally encumbered, it also requires an additional assent of the city attorney to do
Okay,
that.
thank you. Does that clear that up?
Yeah, and just for clarification, that basically that determination by the city attorney would have to occur before the council takes action. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that resolves what I was looking for.
Okay, good. All right. Are there any other comments for our staff?
Question. So as far as that 40,000 for the water rate study, that piece, I would like to see us have direction on just removing that from this 2-year budget.
From this 2-year budget?
Yeah, like I said, I don't see it.
But we have to have a new rate study.
Yeah, I was going to say
It's going
it'll
to expire.
Yeah.
Are we legally required to have a new rate study?
Yes. I mean, otherwise we don't have a rate
We're not
structure.
legally required to, but it is best practice to have an up-to-date rate structure in place. It would preclude any cost of living or CPI increases, and we would be stuck at the rates that will take effect July 1st.
And even if we end up at those rates, we should still have a public conversation about it, not do it by default.
Well, and in addition to that, I know that our community has asked for a water rate study, and since it's in our 2-year goals.
The water resiliency study is different from the water rate study that I'm talking about. The water resiliency study, as far as the supply demand part, that's fine. I'm talking about the idea of doing a study to look at proposed rate increases, because and ultimately, like I said, I don't see an urgency of where this comes from, that yes, when we have the next increase that occurs, then there's no further increases and it flattens, on our rates. But like I said, I don't see any real urgency. There's no pressing information that shows why we need to do one right now. So if that changes, I might be open to that. But assuming that there needs to be, just because, like I said, I don't see the reason to do that.
Because
right
it's
now.
Okay,
expired.
does anybody else agree that we should take this $40,000 out? Like, is there consensus to take this out? No? All right, sorry, Clint.
Well, you know where I'm at on that.
Okay, all right. So, because I agree, I think that it's expiring. We need to just keep the ball rolling. I'll say it in my community assignments, but right now South San is going through a rate study right now because they haven't done it since 2019, and I just want us to continue to have the ball rolling so that we're not caught with a huge increase or anything like that. So those are my points on that. So. With that, I think we will, any other comments? No? Okay, well then can I get a motion to adopt, I know it's a long one, yep, to receive the report and adopt a resolution to approve an interfund advance policy and provide and the input that we brought to staff.
And just to
Okay.
clarify, I think I heard consensus that we would also amend that policy to include language indicating it would be only under extreme or emergency circumstances as deemed by the council. Is that? Yes. Okay.
All right, can I get a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
All right, can I get a second?
Second. I thought you had to say the whole thing. That's why. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Was that good enough for you? Yeah.
I was waiting. I didn't hear anything.
And would you like a roll call? Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember McCory Driscoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Tuggle,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyrick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robert,
Yes.
Mayor D.
Yes. All right, thank you. All right, now we will move on to our, and thank you so much, Mr. Zama, for the, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Great job. All right, I will start with Councilmember McCory Driscoll for committee reports.
I have no reports.
All right, Councilmember Tuggle.
The only report I have, just the rise and shine at the chamber, and the governmental affairs meeting was about Pier Avenue, that little stretch between Highway 1 and the state parks, and future planning for what's going to happen around there. And then I am on the Zone 3 committee that oversees Lopez Lake, and we meet on Thursday, so hopefully I'll have some informative stuff to bring back next time.
Good. Councilmember Wyrick.
Sure, I only have one report. Let's see. I attended the Five States Fire Authority, aka FCFA, Board of Directors special meeting on Tuesday, April 29th with my fellow board member, Mayor Cassie D. And since our chair, Karen Ray Russom, wasn't present as vice chair, I ended up running that meeting. But basically,
You did a great job.
Thanks. In addition to some of the routine items, we also had our, Assembly Bill 2561 workforce vacancies, recruitment, retention trends, public hearing, similar to this meeting too. The thing that was interesting is it showed at the last calendar year that the vacancy rate was 0 across the board, and we had 100% retention rate in 2024. So that was always a very good, healthy sign as far as the workforce. Another part we approved, which some people who live in Grover Beach will see soon, is, if not already, is we did approve the list of properties requiring weed abatement within the Five States Fire Authority service area, which includes Grover Beach, Rio Grande, Oceano, like I said, within the service area part. And those come from California health and safety codes and California government code requirements. So those property owners will be notified of the violations correct and have deadlines to remove the hazardous fuels. So there won't be a need for a contractor to do the work too, and then they have to pay that too. So that's just that part of the process we're at right now too. It'll go on, and there'll be more pieces. And we did approve our biannual fiscal years 2025 through 2027 budget, and in basically had some additional equipment, some protective safety clothing replacement, increased the training budget, things like that. So that's my report for that. Unless you have more to add to it, Mayor.
Good. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Robert.
Integrated Waste Management Authority, as you're aware of, is looking for a new executive director. Our meetings have been closed session as so far, but we do have quite a few candidates that we're going to start interviewing this week, and so hopefully when I come back, we'll have a new executive director. Also, I signed the listing for the contract to sell the Osos property, 870 Osos downtown, right across from the courthouse by the bus stop. It's a nice building. If anyone's interested, take a look at that. I'm not sure what it's going to appraise for, but we got a placeholder of $850. I think it's going to be more than that. It's a real nice building and it has parking. So it's available now. That's our old office.
Good. Okay, so, and as for me, many committee assignments, including the Regional Transit Authority and the South County Transit Committee. Everybody's going through their budget cycle, so there was a lot of money talk and budgeting, and for the most part, everything is pretty much balanced, pending. There's adding some, I was going to say features, but adding some services and letting go of some services that aren't really frequent. So I was really comfortable and grateful for the staff and their work on switching things up while also remembering that, we need to service our community. So that was good. And then the big one was South San Luis Obispo Sanitation District. we received a rate study. And again, like I said, the rates have not been increased since 2019. And so that board did initiate the 218 process, and our public hearing will be on July 2nd for that. It equals to about $2.50 a month, and we don't compare to other cities. That's not what creates the number, but it's still one of the lowest in the county, and especially with and the neighboring counties as well. But all three of our board members recognized we're all going through our rate studies and rate increases, and so we understand that we wouldn't be asking for it unless it was absolutely needed. And in this case, it is absolutely needed. So again, that public hearing is on July 2nd. And for Grover Beach, it'll be about $2.50 a month on the bill for that South San bill. So if that goes on your water and wastewater bill, if that goes through. So those are my committee assignments. So we'll move on to council communications, and I'll start with Councilmember McCrory Driscoll. Do you have anything to report?
I'll go ahead and steal everybody's thunder. The Five City Homeless Coalition fundraiser was last week at Finn's. Several of us were there. I think we all had a great time. I know I did. So thankful to have Five City Homeless Coalition in our neighborhood doing such great work. They did share with us a lot of budget cuts heading their way, and the need for awareness, and anyone that can help helps in any way that they can. So we're, like many nonprofits, we're going to have to just kind of tough these things out right now, see how we can support one another and continue the great work that they're doing. And the only other thing is, I just want to, I've been remiss tonight to thank City Council for the great job you're doing. I know you're in your busy time getting these budgets ready to go.
City Council.
Staff, sorry.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. That's so wonderful. That's so sweet.
City staff, for all the hard work you're doing. Again, I've been there. I've written many budgets in my day, none as large as what you're writing, and I truly appreciate the hard work that's going on behind the scenes, getting all this ready to bring to City Council and to the public, so thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Tuggle.
So yes to Five Cities Homeless was great, being able to serve. Also, it was nice for me, the last time I was a server, my dad gave me a $50 tip and told me to quit. So that didn't happen, so I feel like I've gotten a little bit better. I didn't have to take any orders, which might have been the issue last time. I also was able to attend the Lumina fundraiser, the Dancing with the Stars. My husband might be concerned that I'm going to make him dance next time.
It's required.
No, like it's stage performance dance, and my husband doesn't dance, and I thought I was going to be a professional dancer, so I think there could be a whole shtick there. But they raised an amazing amount of money for a cause that's near and dear to my heart, both directions generationally. On a very tangential, or not tangential, but I think it's nice to keep in mind what we do have. I can't stress enough how thankful I am that the hazard maps that the state put out aren't really impacting us. As my husband is the fire chief in San Luis Obispo, that has added at least 2 hours a day to his career on the daily basis, because those that have been impacted are really struggling, and we just don't have a lot of open space that butts up to housing, so we'll take that for the win. And then last but not least, I went to see the Red Hot Chili Pipers at the Clark Center. I went with a bad attitude, not gonna lie. Was not something I wanted to do, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was really fun, and the energy was great, and it was close to sold out. So it's a great community experience. Thanks.
Councilmember Wyrick.
Yeah, just a couple things for some community events since your last meeting. On Saturday, May 3rd, I attended part of the Disabled American Veterans, aka DAV. That's what most people know them as. Their Department of California's Commander's Testimonial Dinner. And for those who don't know what DAV does, that they help veterans with a number of services, such as represent them for claims, for the Veterans Benefit Administration, for veterans to receive their benefits, no-cost rides for veterans to get to and from VA medical appointments, as well as advocate on a number of issues for them too. DAV's Department of California is obviously our DAV statewide organization. The current commander, and I actually kind of go back maybe a decade and a half, too. So I was very fortunate that he actually had his testimonial dinner within our county. And there were some different local DAV leaders, but a lot of others from throughout the state that attended too. And my father was a disabled veteran, and I've been a proud DAV auxiliary life member, so for a while too. So it was good to have that within our county. And the other thing was this last Saturday, May 10th, since Mayor Pro Tem Robert talks about rodeos and stuff, I attended the St. Louis County Sheriff's Rodeo, their fundraiser. So they had, what do you expect at rodeos? A number of competitions such as roping, barrel racing, bull riding, and they actually had quite a few top national world competitors and stuff out there too. So it was quite entertaining. And of course, they had earlier qualifying competition before the big one in front of us all, but it was kids mud busting, which for those who have not seen it, who haven't spent much time at rodeos, it's always really, really entertaining to see these kids basically riding these sheep to try to stay on as long as possible, and which tactics work well, such as going in reverse. And what was it, this little girl? Yep, she did the reverse and stayed on the longest easily. And there was they said there was about 8,000 people there too. I didn't know some different Grover Beach families that attended too. So those are my community activities.
Wonderful. Mayor Pro Tem?
I just wanted to, just want to piggyback on the Five City Homeless Coalition. If anyone's ever been to Finn's Restaurant, Bruce Van Voort, the owner, needs some recognition for all he does. He's a very humble man. He never would stand up and take credit, but he does so much for the Homeless Coalition, has a heart for them. I just wanted to say thank you, Bruce, if you're listening. We appreciate you very much. You've done so much for this community. He completely pays for everything for these fundraisers, and he does them several times a year, and he has great chefs there. So if you like good food, go down to Finn's and visit him. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, good. Before I get into my very brief comment, I just want to answer some questions that were comments during general public comment. First, I think, let's see. I hear the need for looking at our development code and making sure that it's realistic and everything. And I think that that's something that we can maybe put on the, on deck for the future, since we do have some pretty big priorities happening right now. So I don't want to address that just yet, but I do want to acknowledge it. A question, the cannabis tax. Have we been collecting cannabis tax?
Yes, Mayor. Every year since 2019, I think our first business to start opening up is an annual tax, and actually we just reported on it during the presentation just a moment ago.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay. And then do we have any language out there saying that the pipes will explode if they're not?
No, we don't have such language in our information. We've been saying that our pipes are at risk of overcapacity. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of explosion per se. It's a matter of just being able to keep the effluent within the capacity of the pipes we have. And the sewer rates are really for existing deficiencies that have long existed. And so this is an attempt to try to get ahead of that over the next several years through the funding that is recommended.
Okay, thank you. I would like to say, Mr. Myrick, please stay after class because I do have answers for you. And you weren't at the last meeting and I don't have your number. So I will address the questions that you had during public comment. We can talk after class, okay? All right. No, I know. We'll talk after this. Okay, perfect. Okay, a couple more things. I just want to point out. I know I did admit that I was too young for the visioning process. I believe I was in 7th grade, but I think I followed that comment by saying I love to read. And so we'll make sure to continue to look at those goals and vision. But I am aware of the visioning process that happened, and I did read those reports in full. So I just wanted to correct that. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much to the staff that was at our informational session for the sewer rates. We had some residents come by and ask really great questions. So I just want to thank Greg Ray for the presentation and answering the wonderful questions. Also, City Manager Matt Bronson and Assistant City Manager Kristen Erickson were there. IT John was there. Luz Mike and Nick were there. So thank you so much for being there. Actually, Luz was there for Spanish translation if there was anybody here that had questions who was Spanish speaking. So I think that's a great initiative, and once again goes towards our priorities for community engagement. So thank you so much. And so, and you go, I'll allow it. Okay.
Thanks. As we move forward in the budget, this is a request from staff. Can we highlight what the developers are actually paying in each of the areas that we're at in wastewater and primarily, and really bring that to the forefront so to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, that it is offsetting their actual impact. I know there are impact fees, but if we can really have that highlighted as we move this conversation forward.
Yes, we can do that.
Cool, thanks.
Perfect. Go ahead.
And one thing too with that is if you could all clarify, since diffs are done at different phases of adoption, the differences during times of that too, because I know that 1 year and stuff, if something is permitted, it's a different diff compared to later diff structure. So that's helpful context to that.
Okay, good. All right, now we'll move on to the city manager's reports and comments.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Good evening to you. Just a few quick items on my end. Mayor, you mentioned the first sewer rate information session that we had last week. It was very successful, and the second one is coming up on Wednesday, May 28th from 5:30 to 6:30 at Ramona Center. And so again, we'll answer questions that come up. We'll provide a brief presentation, and also just to highlight that we have a fairly extensive list of responses to frequently asked questions about the wastewater rate increase on our website, and we update that as we hear more questions that should be answered. In fact, we include information about the sanitation district rate increase, and we have a chart that shows how the rates are in the 3 different cities as proposed compared to the other communities that the sanitation district looked at, just for transparency and to share that information very, very fully. So that's coming up. 2 things also to mention. One is that the West Grand Avenue Streetscape project is coming to an end. Later this week, we are going to be paving the eastbound lanes. So this Thursday and Friday, we'll have some significant paving equipment taking place from 4th Street to 8th Street. Next week, they're going to be raising utilities in these eastbound lanes as well. And then the week of the 26th will be striping. And that's a very exciting milestone because striping is the very last scheduled task of this project. And there's a lot of striping to be done. Travel lanes, bike lanes, turning lanes. So the striping will take some time. It'll take 6 to 8 days to complete. But that is the last scheduled task that will be done. So we are at the end stage of this project. We know it's been a long journey, but we are there. We are there, and we look forward to free-flowing West Grand Avenue and 4th Street very, very soon. A much safer, a more vibrant, a more aesthetically pleasing West Grand Avenue corridor that comes from the West Grand Avenue Master Plan many, many years ago. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight that last Friday we had the Mother-Son Dance, which was a great event that we enjoy putting on every year. We had about 50 couples there at the event. We had a dance party with fun family music and Mexican-themed food. We had succulents provided to the mothers from Miners Grover Beach. We had Epic Entertainment was there for their DJ and photo booth support, and the Cal Poly Alpha Phi Omega students were there providing volunteer support. We got great feedback from the attendees. It really is a special event. I know my youngest son took part in it for many, many years when he was at an age where he would want to go to such events, and we always enjoyed that event. It was just a great event for my wife and younger son to enjoy. And from there, we've already talked about the events this weekend, the tour Grover Beach, Strawberries through Grover Beach. Should be a fun Saturday lined up in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, City Attorney reports and comments.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Nothing to report this evening.
All right, and we do not have a closed session, so I get to adjourn the meeting now. That's 7:58. Wow, great job, everybody.